Senator, please, let's proceed because there's something else that is happening in Parliament. Once upon a time, the High Court said that the chief administrative secretaries, the 50 of them, were unconstitutional, therefore null and void. Public participation had been conducted on 23 positions, but because of the entire complement, it was all quashed. Now, the House, there's a bill in Parliament that is proposing to entrench these into law, and that is to create the Chief Administrative Secretary's position. I just want to quickly look at what the functions of those offices should be. Then you can hear from Chairman Jailak here. Now, where are my notes? But specifically, these are people that are supposed to be answering to the Attorney General or the relevant Cabinet Secretary, unless that has been changed.
The Attorney General is out because we felt he's not a Cabinet Secretary.
Okay.
The Attorney General sits in the Cabinet, but he's not a Cabinet Secretary. So he's out. I don't think he's covered by...
So tell me about the specific details about how you want to entrench that into law.
We have a law known as the National Government Administration and Coordination Act. It is the one where we are making amendments, and we are introducing the office as an office in the public service. What that means is it is under Public Service Commission. They are the ones who do the recruitment and make a recommendation to the president who will appoint. There is no approval from Parliament because we feel these are not state officers. They are public servants and they did not come to Parliament for approval. As you state, because they are now under Public Service Commission, there is no need to cap. The complement is now left for the Public Service Commission. It will determine from time to time how many are required. It will recruit and forward to the President for approval. So the Public Service Commission, which is the commission in charge of public servants in the country, is charged with the responsibility of recruiting and recommending.
So they do that on their own motion, or the President has requested?
I'm 100% sure that the President will have to request, or they do it on their own motion, on whomsoever has moved them, somebody must move them.
Let's correct the law. Article 132 of the Constitution of Kenya, sub-article 4, I believe, mandates the President to make, he says that the President may, it's actually discretionary, that the President may create an office in the public service.
Yes.
But upon recommendation by the Public Service Commission. So, and the courts have since made a decision that that request goes to the Public Service Commission. Then the Public Service Commission must conduct public participation on whether actually it's necessary to create this office in the public service.
But if you have a law that is establishing that office, do you then need...
It doesn't supersede the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and we must comply with whatever law they pass. And this is the problem I have with Parliament, because what Parliament is trying to do is to circumvent the Constitution. I mean, we've even seen in the case of Haiti, the deployment, the proposed deployment to Haiti, that the President misinterpreted the fact that there was an order saying if there was a law, but still it does not supersede the Constitution, we must follow the Constitution. And senior counsel here can attest.
But the Constitution doesn't say that Parliament cannot create positions through law. It says the President may request the Public Service Commission.
But in accordance with the Constitution.
The better way to do it.
In accordance with the Constitution.
The better way to do it, so that you're not challenged, is to actually have Parliament creating a law. Instead of Public Service Commission, through its own administrative activities, creating positions because they've been requested by the President.
So tell me, before I move away from you, what are the functions of this CAS?
Basically, they will actually be assisting the CSs. That's the core function. They will go in there to work under CSs, and believe you me, even the PSs, but PSs are a separate state entity. They will be working to try and help them. It's like reliefs for the CSs.
So what is the hierarchy? CS, PS, CS?
It is going to be CS, PS, and then they will follow down there. That's how it would be.
Let's call a spade a spade.
The reason I say so is that the CS and the PS are state officers. These are not state officers. Per se, they are public officers.
They're not state officers?
They are not state officers.
No. Because the initial bill was saying that they shall be state officers.
That has been removed because you cannot do so unless you amend the Constitution.
Okay.
The state officers are
Will
named by
they
the
appear before Parliament?
They will not appear before Parliament because we also feel that they do not have that responsibility. The person...
Which responsibility?
To appear before Parliament.
How is appearing before Parliament a responsibility?
It is a responsibility in the Constitution that they have to answer to Parliament.
So, Chairman, what is their function then?
It is to us now, ministers, sometimes when they come to Parliament or they fail to come to Parliament, they cite their numerous engagements all over. That I had this meeting to attend to, I had that function to go and officiate, I had the government policy to go and enunciate in a certain county. Now, their work will be, ministers will delegate to them what to do. But that delegation cannot extend to Parliament because Parliament, it's only CSs who should appear to answer questions.
What is the difference then between that and personal assistant?
If you want to call it personal assistant, well and good, but unfortunately this is a creation of a law, while your PM may not be a creation of the law. But they are that. Okay. Assistant ministers, when they used to be called assistant ministers...
Why don't we just say that we have gone back to the era of creating deputy ministers or cabinet secretaries. I mean, that is exactly what you guys are doing. You are just creating assistant ministers. Just say that.
Well, whether you call them assistant ministers...
Yes, Honorable Elachi. Sorry, I'll get you. Honorable Elachi.
You know, okay, I have always said there was need to have. After I served, I realized if you have clear mandates, you will serve well, and you will do justice to what Kenyans would wish to see. Now, where I'm very worried is now where we have to be very careful on how the Act will assist in this. You see, it is unfortunate that we had to end up where we are. Because if we just followed...
You can repeal the law if it's bad.
Well, not me now. I'm just saying, if the government followed, if the government followed the advice they were given then by the Public Service Commission and just retained the 22 at that time, I doubt whether we would have gone to court. I doubt whether at that time, because everyone was now, the structure and the mechanisms were there. The biggest mistake ever was to now go and bring the 50 and find yourself in court now wanting to now bring in this. And now we bring confusion to Public Service Commission, and I've always said these positions were always there. It was changed time as advisors of the president. They used to have same everything, but they were advisors of the president.
At every ministry? At
every ministry. And at that time, even in Kibaki's time, they were there, but in a ministry where you advise the president. Now, when Uhuru came and changed it, based on the advice he was given then by public service, that you can change it to this name, then I think that is where now things went haywire. But they were there. It's not a structure you are creating new. I've kept on telling Kenyans that it is not a new structure. It's only the
Honorable Elachi, you were once a CAS.
Yes.
What were you doing, and how does it compare to what he's saying?
Now they have taken it to another east. But us, what we were doing is this. When you say they are there to relieve, thank God
you are relieving.
CS Kobia never told us to relieve. She had her mandate. She gave us. She drew every person had their role. And every Monday you must account on it. And you have to go and do your... For me, let me say what I did. So in public service, I dealt with public service. I dealt with the government school. And
what were you doing exactly? When you say dealing, what were you doing?
No. There were a lot of changes we brought in, by the way, and performance.
Mwesh, we want to understand the practicality of being a CAS.
Of being a CAS.
Yes.
First of all, you must learn, that you are under your CS, isn't it? And so as you go to do those duties, you step in the way she would have done if she was there, number one. Number two, you must get to engage with all your what do we call them? The sagas. You have to work very closely with the different departments that are under you. You must have meetings with them. You get to understand, and then in overall, you'll have to meet the CS and tell her on Monday, this is what we think will be a tentative of the activities. She will advise whether this is what she wants to see.
In other words, another PA.
Well,
because that's the work of PAs.
You're not a PA. Because as a PA, you can never go to a meeting at
Honorable Mulugala, you might be right in saying that a deputy president is a PA, only that he's the principal assistant.
No. He's the principal assistant.
I doubt whether you are president. You see, when you are a PA...
But that's the language in the Constitution.
No,
PA?
This is
the principal assistant to the president.
This is also the language in the statute you are creating.
So why don't you just call him PA?
He is called the principal assistant to the president, but is he the president's PA?
Yes.
We ask. If that is the answer...
With a whole budget?
No,
can never be.
No, it depends on how you interpret it. But I don't think he's a PA.
Why would we give
to
him
me,
such...
he's an assistant created by the Constitution to assist the president whensoever it's necessary. The same thing with the CASs. They are created by a statute to assist the ministers whenever it is necessary.
Let me ask a practical question. Another question. Are they part of the cabinet?
They are not part of the cabinet.
But you see,
we know who the cabinet is from our
because that is the circumvention you guys are creating.
No.
Because you are running away from making the CASs part of the cabinet so that it goes against Article 130.
Why would we want to do it anyway?
Senior, I don't want to
because listen,
what they are creating, but I want to say this. In one ministry, you have 4 departments, for example. So you have 4 PSs, isn't it? All of them are your accounting officers. All you have to do, if you are a CS who would want to see your ministry performing, all you need to do, if you have this, if you have a CAS, where you realize, for example, I'll give just a simple example. You find you have a CS who has decided every time, let's say CS Energy, does not talk much about Kentraco or does not talk about some of his departments. He's so skewed maybe on one line. And you are forgetting there is another. Like in the Ministry of Trade, you might forget industry is there. You might
Why will you forget if you are given a job as a CS?
Listen, okay. Just look at it whenever they are coming out, what they have skewed themselves so much, aligned themselves with. You find you are aligned on one thing and you forget all these other things. And nobody will ever question
never mind, Horrible.
On how you
Elachi, the officers work in all those departments, all those small
directors.
offices.
I have said,
but Senator Mutinda,
I have repeated. There were advisors. I don't know why you want to bring another name. And I've told you, they were there. It's only that the name changed. It's when everyone opened their eyes.
Now?
They were there. They were there.
You actually do have the power to do that because you sit in Parliament. I don't.
No, I'm saying...
Senator Mutinda, I'm looking at Article 155 of the Constitution. There's established the Office of Principal Secretary, which is an office in the public service. Each state department shall be under the administration of a PS, and of course the President shall nominate with the approval of Parliament. A principal, well, the other things are just about Principal Secretary resigning. I was looking for an area that would describe the functions of the PS. But if you create the position of CAS and not a state officer, but to be a reliever of the CS, can they be acting CS in the absence of the CS?
Yes, this is because they offer more in terms of the responsibility of the CS.
But the CS is a state officer.
Is a state officer.
This CAS is not a state officer.
He's not a state officer.
How then can they act?
They can't.
They can represent. The point is
Where?
that they can represent, one, in the institution of parliament, like, for example, both the National Assembly and Senate, when we normally call in the CSs and they're not available, they can represent.
How can a person who is not a state officer come to parliament to represent?
No. We have made it very clear.
Now they can't.
We have made it very clear the functions assigned to a chief administrative secretary shall not include matters relating to parliamentary affairs.
Yeah.
Okay, that is the current that is ongoing. That is a change that will take place. But in your earlier regard, if you would allow us to go back to why are we here with the discussion of CAS? And it's simply because of the numbers. The public service put in place the 50 instead of the 22. These are positions that have been there before. Instead of 23,
yes.
sorry. These are positions that have been there. The question has been why the 50? And that is why the court nullified the whole number. They did not segment and say 23 is okay. And that is why now we are in the process through Parliament, the framework, through the Jail Act, to ensure that now we bring it back, but on the 23 number. The question again is it affordable? And why are we having this?
What's the answer?
Sorry?
What's your answer?
Good question. Yeah.
Do we need them?
Yes, we need them. Okay. And the reason that we need them is because we have a manifesto as Kenya Kwanza to achieve. We have an executive, yes, in place. And the plans that we have put in place, we need the CSs to come aboard and be able to assist in ensuring...
So wait, so you're saying to achieve the manifesto, yes, you need CSs. Yeah. What do you think the Kenya Kwanza is achieving its manifesto currently?
Perfect.
It is.
Yes,
it is trying.
There has not been a single CAS.
These are some of
we make it better.
That we are not even talking about, because the things that we've actually been able to achieve, we are not even discussing them. So the cost of fuel has gone down today. We are not discussing them.
There was no CS,
dollar,
was there?
We are not discussing them. If there was CS, a very good question, Sam, that you're asking. If then there was a CS, then where would we be? We would be 10 miles ahead of the game.
Yes. So the ministry is not performing now?
Sorry, let me ask this. Senator Mutinda, just hold it. Let me ask you this. Of course, you're saying that CSs were actually there, including CS Elachi, where she served. Yes. But remember how tenure was actually challenged in court, successfully so. Never mind that there was sort of a stay order, temporary stay order. And I think the Attorney General appealed at the Court of Appeal.
By ensuring you leave public service to do it. And that is why it went back to...
Sorry, I need to correct something.
Yes.
The Attorney General did not appeal. He filed the notice of appeal, but never appealed. But never mind. So the shape and form of this CS is changing. It is becoming just an office in the public service, not a state officer, just to assist and, to use your words, represent the CS at different places, not including Parliament. The public service currently has over 1 million employees, I think inclusive of the counties. We need an extra, at least 23, to make it function better, yet you have 1 million workers?
Yes, to make it much more achievable in terms of the plans that are in place. And you look at the strategy that Dr. William has, the president, in terms of more economic empowerment strategies. We cannot do the same things that have been done and expect the same results. And the president is much more focused on ensuring that we have more bilateral economic opportunities. And so most of this...
So CS is actually an economic empowerment.
Sorry, allow her to make her point.
Yes. Who is the... Samuel.
Just answer.
So, yes. And I'm saying that with the input of the CSS coming on board, there is going to be much more that is going to be achieved. There's going to be much more double of the value compared to where we are currently. Really? Remember, we have coming from a place whereby we are managing the debt. We just passed the MTPS last week. And if we have much more economic empowerment within the country, then we are going to be able to...
You actually believe to deal with the question of debt, to improve our economy, you need the office of the CAS to do that?
Yes.
Then why do you have the debt management office at the National Treasury?
Yes.
Because look at our debt. It's huge.
You need a CS to manage that.
We are having CSs in the different ministerial departments.
Yep.
It is not one department in the Ministry of Treasury.
Yeah.
It is across, because each ministry has its own
so
manifesto
to manage debt, you need to incur more.
There is going to be a cost, but that cost definitely will be much more valuable, will surpass the incurred initial cost.
Yeah.
Do I wish to say?
Chairman, tell me.
Yes.
I know you're saying that you leave it to the Public Service Commission to determine the complement.
The complement, yes. And they may be 10. So they don't have to be 23.
First of all, is this a money bill?
This is a money bill.
Yes, it is.
So
it's a money bill.
Do you have an estimate of how much that would cost? Even a range?
There was an estimate that was given.
Yeah.
It's in the bill itself, although we only make a statement of how much it's going to be. But again, you may not state that with certainty, because there may be 10, there may be 5. They may
but at least you can tell how much it will cost to hire one.
Yes. Clause number 8 is, this is SRC that is going to recommend to PSC. So I may not be able to say how much one is going to earn, but SRC is going to do it and recommend to Public Service Commission. It's not going to be whimsical. There must be a formula of doing it. But most important is, it goes without an argument that in some ministries, some CSs, they're just too busy out there. And they have to do work that way. They may not work from their desks. They may have to work in the counties, like Professor Kindiki.
Yeah.
He is always out there. So definitely needs somebody. Doctor may call him a PA,
that is
but
why,
whatever it is,
isn't that why
he's going to be an assistant or a reliever.
Sorry, isn't that why every department is led by a PS?
A PS
and PSs also have undersecretaries at every department.
He's a technical person.
Yeah.
He's the accounting officer.
Yeah.
He may not represent his CS in meetings, or even in a government policy announcement out there. The best person to do it would be a CS, who really is not a technical person, maybe half political person, but has grasp of what is happening.
But that's not part of the qualifications that you enlist.
It is that.
You said he's supposed to be a political person.
No, he has to hold a degree from a university recognized in Kenya, has knowledge of and experience in public service, and satisfies the requirement. Has knowledge in public service.
That is not political.
Public service. No. We've not said he has to be a politician.
No, you have told me he has to be a political person.
No. He has an element of public service. He may have a knowledge of political knowledge, so that this person.
So he may. Is that in opinion or it's in the law?
In the law it is. He must have knowledge of public service. So and even politicians like me, I have knowledge of public service.
So that's what I'm saying. To say that he has to be a political person, is that an opinion or it's in the law or it's the intention that we don't see in text?
Political person is not in the law. And it's not going to be.
What was the political?
Because that's not a requirement.
Yeah. What's a political person?
Political person.
But it's in the spirit of the office.
What they say possibly is to imagine that he has to be a person who once held a political office.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
But there's nothing wrong with that, provided I have knowledge and experience in the public service. I mean, what's the difference? Honorable Elachi here was a CS, and now she's a politician. She can still be a CS next time. So really, it's knowledge in public service.
But some.
Yes. I mean, the court did not condemn the positions of CSs. You need to note that. They did not condemn.
But they also said, if the framers of the Constitution, one guy sat in that committee, if they wanted to create a position in between the PS and the CS, they would have done so. But now you said that they'll actually be lower than the PS, but assisting the CS and reporting to the CS?
Yes.
So what happens to the PS? What is the relationship between the PS and the CS?
No, the PS is a technical person. He's the accounting officer.
So there's no relationship between the PS and the CS?
He's there as a principal secretary. He's the one who develops the technical know-how, the policy, and what have you. Then the CS is like an implementer, but not so much. All right?
But
we know they're there, but
Article 155 of the Constitution says that they established the office of the principal secretary, which is an office in the public service, and saying that each state department shall be under the administration of a PS.
Administration, yes.
So administration of the PS, but the CS who is under the PS does not report to the PS. Reports directly to the CS.
Yeah, because of these laws.
Yeah.
Responding to issues
but each department is under the administration of PS.
Remember, is representing...
Meaning everyone in that department must report to the PS.
Yes.
As a line of administration.
Yes.
But you're saying the CAS will report to the CS.
Yes.
Because what are his functions? Representing the cabinet secretary at any meetings as directed by the cabinet secretary, performing any other...
meaning he works in the public service.
Don't you think you're creating an extra center of power against the constitutional flow of functions?
I do not think so, because of the terminology you've just used. That this person is an assistant to the cabinet secretary, and you've even called him a reliever. Yeah. He's supposed to relieve. I mean, these are the terminology you're using.
But in ranks...
He's more like a helper.
Some, I think the best would be, so that we have a better conversation, we look at it after SRC has recommended what they'll recommend.
But they'll only recommend after you pass the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're having the
public service.
passing debate. And
Sam.
Yeah.
We will finish the debate, and then the technical team will sit and now guide.
Sam.
For a better way, because it is now out of CAS. Don't call it CAS anymore, now call it something.
Sam, we are running away from the truth.
Yeah.
Which is?
And the truth is this. These positions are being created to just repay back political support. It will go to the cronies. In fact, you go back to the first appointments of the 50. What is the list of the people who are appointed? They are all supporters of President William Ruto. Yeah? So it is a reward scheme at the expense of the taxpayer, of the people of Kenya.
They have now gone out.
Because
they have now been appointed as a position.
Sorry, what are you saying, Chairman?
How does the government work worldwide? I mean, even us, you know, is using some condescending terminology like Parliament has been emasculated by the executive.
It's a fact.
Forgetting that in that Parliament, the people sitting, majority of them fronted this government. So it is their government.
Yeah, but you see...
So you cannot say,
no.
I'm not going to support the government, which I went all over the country.
Majority sitting in the House fronted this government. No, it didn't.
No, it's not true.
Come on, it didn't.
What numbers do we have?
That changed after
Chair, don't go there. Chair, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there when I'm here.
The truth is whether
you will cry.
You know, fewer members of the National Assembly voted for this government.
No, it is not true.
Chair, that's not true.
Don't go there, Chair.
We were still the majority,
the debate,
and we remain the majority, and we actually fronted this government.
You see now, let me say.
Chair, that's a wrong premise.
Chair.
No, it isn't.
Chair, in all due respect in God's eyes, the God you prayed, don't go there. Because you know very well, you finished, and you used, let me use the Bible so that it comes out well. We used the Jacob way of getting your way.
No.
Now let me, and when I say the Jacob way in the Bible, which is okay because God can give you the knowledge to do that, is that when you, because if, you know, if in this country we were very clear and we said that let us vie with the same ticket Baba vied with, you wouldn't have gotten anyone from Northeastern. They would have they were all in Azimio.
No.
We
had a few.
And that is why Kinaroba and team, they come.
Why don't I say?
We must clear this so that in 2024,
and I want to
chair to
on which was the majority power.
Yes, that's okay.
And they lost.
That is not
you imagine, we came in a parliament, a 13th parliament, to rule who is the majority. So if you are the majority from outside there, why would you come to parliament
because
to ruling?
Because somebody has
and
challenged.
Somebody to who
somebody has challenged.
Nobody challenged.
The fact is, and you know it.
You challenged yourself, and you wanted to use that to cleanse it. The Jacob way. And we have agreed and we have moved on.
You know very well.
Sam, we have to correct an impression here.
Today, the majority in the House is Kenya Kwanza.
Yeah.
On the date of election, after the election, majority was in Azimio at the National Assembly, at least because UDM voted with Azimio.
No,
MDG.
UDM.
Yes.
They voted with Azimio.
Yes.
Senator,
they're on our side.
Now they are. They were not.
they are.
On the night of election, they were not.
I want them to please respect Jehovah, our God, who gave you the grant. That is all I'll tell you.
Important is that we are majority. Both houses we are.
No, that's okay.
But Sam, I want to raise a very fundamental question.
No,
just give me 1 second to raise a very fundamental question.
Just about 10 minutes.
Just a second. Sam, please. You see, what is emerging here, listening especially from people on the side of government, is that they actually fail to realize that they represent their constituents, not government. And whenever they pass any law, they debate any bill in parliament, they should have their constituents who sent them to that parliament in mind. Now, the lingua has changed, and I'm so disappointed that, people talk about government, president. You see, you should be talking about the constituents who sent you to parliament. So that when you are debating any law...
What is the work of the manifesto?
We have a right, because that's the coalition that we come from. We come from the government coalition. What is wrong in advocating for what the government is doing? There's no problem. In parliament, we represent the constituents. When we go to the ground, we are with them, we interact with them.
We told them,
what is the problem? It depends on the
So let me ask you, Senator Mutinda.
Yes.
What wins? The power of the people or the power of the president?
The power of the people.
The power of the people.
It's the people who have put us in this position. It's the people who have put the president.
You wouldn't have passed the Finance Act.
And we have a manifesto as a government.
See,
what is ridiculous?
Senator,
you will not, in existence as the majority.
You will not have passed the Finance Act as it is. You will not be passing this housing levy if it was the power of the people. The truth for the matter is, it is more the power of the president or the government you represent.
That is your own version, which is entitled.
We may not agree on that.
So,
but let's talk about something you can agree on.
You cannot continue dividing the both houses.
I have one question to
Chairman.
Okay.
This is what he promised people.
Yes.
We would give them housing.
Yes.
Were we supposed to plug houses from the air?
No.
Everybody knows that government services are given through taxation.
Yeah. Okay.
The government doesn't have any other farms.
Then,
why is
apart from
taxation of that, why is he so bitter with this government?
Who is bitter?
Ekuru.
No.
Senator, he's just expressing his opinion.
No, Senator, with all due respect, I voted for Ruto actually. As a matter of fact, I voted for, and I've said it many times. But the fact that I voted for William Ruto, wait. Listen, if I vote for you, I'm not a blind follower, blind supporter.
What I'm asking is, as you voted for him,
so I can vote for you.
But selling a pack of lies.
But I expect you also to fulfill your promises. If you're going to be a liar, like the president is actually emerging to be one.
Can we not use that language here?
Yeah.
Yes, parliamentary.
But
it's not parliamentary.
Are we in parliament?
Let's move it this way.
No, we're in studio, Citizen TV. Please don't call someone a liar.
But you see, Sam, what is the definition of a lie?
I will not allow you to go into that. Let's transition and talk about the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza.
Some why I called you 3 times is because I told you that conversation, now we move to the right conversation.
And the Kenya Kwanza manifesto...
Yes, you have taken us to politics.